Hi everyone. So this is the MLA formatting video. So I'm going to explain what exactly MLA formatting is, why we do it, and then kind of set you up for the quiz that you're going to need to take. So MLA formatting, I've got an example here, but let me just explain in general what it is. MLA stands for the Modern Language Association, which is a group that deals with all things associated with anything having to do with English, teaching of English. And what they do is they set up this format, this way in which papers, essays are supposed to be set up, the way in which they're supposed to be formatting. Let's back up for a second and just think about what formatting is. What does formatting mean? Format means that we do things in a particular way. Certain things go in particular places. Okay. If you know anything about computers, formatting becomes very important because different kinds of computer files, really what they mean, if you have a JPEG file, it means that that information is formatted in a particular way. It's laid out on a hard drive in a particular way. A Word document versus a text document, they're formatted on the drive in a different way. That information is going to be saved differently, and so there's a format that we use. Certain kinds of information goes here, certain other kinds of information goes there. And one of the things about formatting is what we call arbitrary. Arbitrary means that there is usually not a definite reason why we must do things in a particular way, but we want to make sure that everybody agrees with the way in which we're going to be doing it. So that's why with computer programs, you might have different formats, and as long as all the computers are obeying the same format, it makes sense. Sometimes we switch over, right? Documents, the Word documents switch over from different versions of Word. They have different formats. As long as everybody switches over, it's fine, right? As long as everybody's on the same page. And so on some level, it doesn't make any difference how you format. Sometimes in terms of computers, there's something technological that makes it easier. But a lot of times when we're thinking about formatting, what we're doing is we're saying, look, as long as everybody agrees that something looks like this, then that's going to make some sense. So let's look at what we have here for MLA formatting, our first page format. And this document is on Blackboard. And so it has the student's name here, first and last name, the professor's name of the course. Just to be clear here, this is slightly confusing because this says that the course is humanities, and sometimes students at QCC get confused because they think this is the room number because we have a humanities building. But there's a class you could take. You could take English, you could take biology, you can take humanities. So for us, this would say English 101. And then you have the date, and it goes by the day, the month, and then the year, no commas. And we do it like that. And then in the top right-hand corner, we have the last name and the page number. So I said before that this is arbitrary. There is no real reason in the world why we couldn't say last name and page number goes on the left and all of this information goes on the right. That would be fine if everybody agreed to that. Okay. But we haven't agreed to that. We've agreed to do it this way. And that's an important thing to think about with formatting. You may not have to ever, when you go to 102, you may have to do this, but after that, you may not ever have to write an essay in which you use MLA formatting. It is going to disappear from your lives fairly quickly, most of you, unless you decide to become an English professor, which is definitely a small minority of you. Um, so you'll never have to use MLA formatting again. You will, however, have to use some kind of formatting. Let's say you go into a medical profession. A lot of you would want to go into nursing, or radiology, or whatever it is, things like that. Medical charts and things like that have to be formatted in a very particular way. And realize that that becomes very important because if things are not formatted correctly, it means we can't find the information that we're looking for very easily. When this is formatted in MLA format like it's supposed to be, I can find the information I'm looking for. Who wrote this paper? It's right here. Right, I can find that. What's the date? I can find that. Right, if I find this document somewhere on my hard drive. What class was this? Oh, it was, and it was a 101 versus a 102. What date? I can see what semester it is. So I can come up with a lot of important information just by looking at this, and I know where to find all of that information. If this is in a different format, I may not know how to find all that information. Again, you can see how in something like a medical situation, that's going to be incredibly important. If people can't find something like a drug allergy that somebody has, if that's not where it's supposed to be, somebody might not find it. And especially if things are moving very quickly, somebody might administer the wrong drug to somebody, and that could potentially be fatal. Somebody could die. And so that kind of formatting can become very important. Other kinds of situations where it may not be so life or death, if you're any kind of in any kind of a technological field, where you place information in documents when programmers program, they have to put information in certain places so that other people, when they come back and want to make changes to the program, understand what was going on. Here's why things were done this way. They make notes in a particular way. I know this because my son's a computer engineer, and he talks about this, about how it is that we are supposed to include certain kinds of information in certain places. It has to be documented so that people can come back and look at it and go, oh, now I see what you did, and I can see what I can do moving forward. If that is not in the appropriate format, it's going to be hard for people to find that information. It's hard for them to be able to make the kinds of changes that they need. Again, for our purposes, this is not necessarily that big of a deal. I can probably figure out who wrote this. I can probably figure out what the date is. So on some level, that doesn't matter. But at another level, I want to make sure that you're aware of this idea of formatting. You're aware of the fact that formatting is an issue that people need to be concerned with, so that you can practice that. Another example, my wife is a professor of speech and language pathology, and in her field, which is kind of a quasi-medical field, she spends a lot of time teaching her students how to format reports because students don't know how to necessarily format their reports, and it's very frustrating for her. And these are sometimes graduate students, that is, students who have been through all 4 years of undergraduate college, graduated, and then gone back to get another degree. And so those students who are doing that are still having issues with formatting, just following along with a model. No, this is what the model says, and you make yours look like the model. And that's all we want to be doing with this kind of formatting. You want to make sure that your assignment looks like this, right? That you have your name, my name, the name of the class, the date, then you've got the title. All this is double spaced. That is, and notice that there's no extra space in here. We have a 1/2 inch indent on all paragraphs. We have 1/2 inch up here from the top. All of those kinds of things that we're doing, just make sure that yours looks exactly like the other one. And I want you to practice that because, again, it does, on some level, doesn't matter for English, but it will matter in a lot of other things that you're doing, making sure that you are obeying the particular format. So I want to make sure you're aware of that here. So again, you can, especially if you have a big screen, it's nice. You can just put these two things, the document up against each other, put the model up against the one that you're doing, and then you can see, does yours look like the one, does yours look like the model? Another example that we have here, so I also have in the folder here a sample essay, a full essay, not just the top of it. And so it has Jose Ramirez, Professor Manuel Martinez, English 101, 20th October 2020. A centered title, last name and page number. Again, no extra space here between the date and the title. Sometimes students want to hit return a whole bunch of times and add some space in there. That doesn't happen. Notice on page 2, it says it has the student's last name and page number. It goes right there at the top. And so we have all of this kind of information in here, which is going to make it easier for me to understand where to, I can find everything when I'm looking for it. So keep these two things in mind so that you understand specifically how you are supposed to format your essay. In the next video, I'm going to take you through and show you what you can do in in a Word program. I don't have Microsoft Word, but in a Word program to be able to format this in this particular way.